He remembers being in that room before becoming the 32nd overall pick. That fuels all of his preparation and where his mindset is. He doesn't see himself as the MVP. He sees himself as the 5th quarterback taken in his draft class. Nick, you're up first. Is Lamar one of the top 2 QBs in the NFL?
I think so. I would certainly take Lamar Jackson right after Patrick Mahomes. And we all know Mahomes is on a different level, and you can't compare very many people to him. But Patrick Mahomes has some great weapons. Like, he's got not just Andy Reid, but he's got Tyreek Hill, Travis Kelce, and Sammy Watkins, all those, Mecole Hardman, like some great weapons. Lamar Jackson had the best offense in the league last year with names that most casual football fans probably don't know. Outside of Mark Ingram, you don't know Boykin. No one really is clamoring for Willie Snead or Hollywood Brown or any of those guys, or Andrews, the tight end. They did that last year, all based on Lamar Jackson. I guess maybe you could say Marshall Yonda, the guard who has recently retired, may have been one of the best at his position, or was one of the best at his position at guard. But outside of that, Lamar Jackson took that group of guys and made them great because of his own greatness and his uniqueness. And I know we see the running highlights, and that's a great thing. It's spectacular. No one's doing it in the league quite like him. But he was, I think, the second, as far as QBR from the pocket, he was the second quarterback behind Matthew Stafford. So, it's not as if his game has any limitations. And he was the MVP in his second year. He's the best winning percentage of any quarterback since he entered the league. And I normally wouldn't say that winning percentage is something that you could attribute only to a quarterback. But in this case, it's different because their offense is made better. The receiver's job is easier because of Lamar Jackson. Offensive line, their job is made easier because of Lamar Jackson's abilities. Same can be said for the defense. Because of Lamar Jackson's ability on offense to run the ball, their defensive job gets easier. And I would even say the general manager job gets easier because Lamar Jackson is so unique that you are going after a different type of player, and you have less competition. You pay less high prices for players that you need to help fit around Lamar Jackson than any other quarterback. His uniqueness and his ability, I think, is what makes him special. And again, there's Patrick Mahomes and there's everyone else. If I'm starting a franchise today, I want Lamar Jackson over everybody else.
Well, let me say this to you, Domonique. I respectfully disagree, and I say respectfully because I got Lamar Jackson as a top 5 quarterback in this league. But not only do I not have him as top 2, I'll tell you who I have ahead of him. I've got Russell Wilson ahead of him. Obviously, Patrick Mahomes first. Russell Wilson. I'd put Deshaun Watson ahead of him. I really, really would. And, of course, the greatness of Drew Brees because of his accuracy throwing the football. Now, understand where I'm coming from with all of this, just to give you some background about me, Domonique. You know what? There was a guy that ran the football very, very effectively. Matter of fact, as a quarterback, led a team to having one of, if not the top-rated running attack in football. That would happen to be Tim Tebow when he was with the Denver Broncos. But what did I repeatedly say about my friend? He couldn't throw the football on an NFL level. I never believed it, and that was a problem. Obviously, Lamar Jackson improved exponentially from the first go-round we saw him when he had that atrocious performance in the playoffs against the Chargers to last year when he went up against Tennessee. But nevertheless, he completed about 48% of his passes in the first playoff game, even though he was horrific for the first 3.5 quarters. It was horrible. But then last year, he completed 52% of his passes. He's 0-2 in those playoff performances. When I look at Deshaun Watson, for example, I look at a guy, no one can run the football like Lamar Jackson. Let's understand that here. Nobody, okay? Not at the quarterback position in the NFL. We know that. That's just on another level. But in terms of throwing the football, even though he's had his moments and he definitely improved in accuracy in terms of completing 66% of his passes last season, I don't believe he can throw the football like Deshaun Watson. But I believe Deshaun Watson can run the football very effectively. He's just not utilized to doing so by Bill O'Brien and the Houston Texans. Drew Brees, the accuracy, the years and years he's been in this position. Russell Wilson, his veteran leadership, his accuracy, what he does, we know. Patrick Mahomes, he's special. So I got Lamar Jackson in that top 5. But 0-2 in the postseason, still having to throw the football more effectively. All of those things come into play as a reason why I wouldn't give him the top 2 edge. I'll tell you this, though. He is top 2 box office. He might be number 1 box office. I'll give you that.
I mean, it's hard to, this argument is hard to have because I don't disagree with any of the players you selected. They're all good players, but I take Lamar Jackson over them because I think he has improved as a passer. I don't think he would be as good a passer as he is if it weren't for his threat of the running ability, but I mentioned off the top that he was second for QBR from in the pocket. He can throw from in the pocket. He reads defenses well. His accuracy has gotten better, and he's played a season and a half, and he's 0-2 in the playoffs. There are lots of quarterbacks that don't make it to the playoffs in their first 2 seasons, and he is the main reason why. So I understand that being critical of him for not getting to that next level in the playoffs is it's fair, I guess, but I think we also need to accept how great he's been. Yeah, how great he's been in this season and a half, and it projects to be even better than those guys you mentioned. And I will say again, the guys that you mentioned, every guy you mentioned has like a legit Pro Bowl potential Hall of Fame guys around them. Like Watson's receiving core, everyone was saying that was the best receiving core in the league that they had. And Drew Brees obviously had Michael Thomas, and Alvin Kamara. Like, you're not dealing with that with Lamar Jackson. And obviously Mahomes has Mecole Hardman and Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce. Like, those benefits are not afforded to Lamar Jackson. Go ahead, Molly.
Yeah, no, I just had a question for Stephen A. here because I know he was updating you on the history of First Take, the Tim Tebow situation, and obviously you know about his
I was just going to ignore that. Tim Tebow and Lamar Jackson in the same conversation. I was just going to ignore that.
No, I was just talking about the running attack.
Well,
the only reason I brought up the running
Stephen
attack.
A. and his friend. Yeah.
Well, the only reason I brought up the comparison is because I'm just talking about statistically, the Ravens had the #1 offense and the #1 running attack last year, but they were ranked 27th in the pass. Right. I don't have the exact numbers for Tebow when he was with the Broncos that year. They beat my Steelers when Taylor gave up that damn 8-yard touchdown to Demaryius Thomas on a crossing pattern. I mean, don't get me started. I'm still depressed over that. But the point is, they ran the football effectively in Denver, but not throw. Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming, sports, and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.